Greetings and welcome to the Fan Perspective. I'm your host Nathan Lyle here with my coverage of the 2015 NBA playoffs. This video is a recap of the first round matchup between two Western Conference teams, the number 2 seed Houston Rockets and the number 7 seed Dallas Mavericks. Game 1, the Rockets got off to a strong start, especially Dwight Howard. He had 3 blocks in the first quarter. They were leading by double digits through most of it. Then in the second quarter, the Mavs started fighting back, even managed to take the lead. But that ended up being their only good quarter of the game. Houston was in control the rest of the way. Harden finishes with a double-double. Rockets win 118-108. Then Game 2, Chandler Parson sat out, and it just looked like more of the same. The Mavs kept turning the ball over, kept leaving shooters wide open, but the Rockets just weren't able to break away. The Mavs even managed to take a lead. And the Rockets, they weren't making their shots. They were getting in foul trouble, and the game was neck and neck for most of the way. But Houston started to break away in the fourth quarter, and even more surprising was that James Harden was on the bench during their big run when they built up the lead. And Dwight Howard, he had a big game leading the team with 28 points, 12 rebounds. Rockets win 111-99. Game 3, the series goes back to Dallas, and big news that happened at this time, Chandler Parson, we were told that he was done for the year because of his injury, and we also got word that Rondo was injured and he probably wouldn't be coming back, but everyone pretty much figured out that his injury was really just him getting benched because it wasn't working out. And there seems to be a little of addition by subtraction here, because in Game 3, the Mavs played a lot better. They still couldn't get a stop to save their lives, but they were making shots. And so it was a very high-scoring first quarter. The teams combined for 78 points after one quarter. And behind 20 points from Monte Ellis, the Mavs took a 7-point lead into halftime. But the Rockets fought back, and they were leading 101-99 at the end of the third. There have been entire games that did not have scores that high. Anyways, the Mavs were in the game all the way and had a chance to win on the last shot, but they just couldn't connect. Rockets end up winning 130-128. And then in Game 4, the Mavs, they adjust their starting lineup, mostly because of injuries. And so now Al-Farouq Aminu and J.J. Barea, they're put in the starting lineup, and they played very well. But the Mavs couldn't make a stop. The Rockets got an early lead. And in the second quarter, the Mavs, they started to make a run. They were able to take the lead. Then in the third quarter, they not only hung on to the lead, but they expanded it to 24 points. And then the Rockets, they came back in the fourth, and they easily cut the lead in half, but they just couldn't overcome the Mavs. The Rockets had 5 players in scoring double figures, but the Mavs had 6 people scoring double figures, 3 of them with double-doubles. They would go on to win 121-109, kept the season alive for at least one more game. And then in Game 5, both teams came out firing, but Houston took an early lead. Dwight nearly had a double-double at halftime. The Mavs started fighting back mostly because of foul trouble. Howard, Jones, and Brewer all had 3 fouls in the first half. Every Rocket that played had at least 1 foul. You can say the same thing about Dallas, but that's only because they started hacking. And then Houston had twice as many fouls and twice as many turnovers. It still went into halftime with the lead. And the Mavs came out in the third, nearly tied it up, but then it was all Houston from there. The Rockets started to break away. They were leading by double digits for a long time until the Mavs once again started hacking, closed the gap a little. But they just could not get a stop to save their life. Rockets had 4 players in double figures, including a big double-double from Dwight Howard, 28 points from Harden. They win Game 5. They close out the series. And if you've seen my other videos, then you know I picked the Mavs to win. Let me say 2 things, though. I'm not a Mavs fan by any means. I'm a Spurs fan, and I'd honestly like both of these teams to just eliminate both of them. But whatever. So I picked the Mavs to win mostly because just the veteran presence. I hadn't seen them play, so I had no idea how bad, how dysfunctional that actually was, because it had been a few weeks since I actually watched a game of theirs. With the Houston, you have the injury situation. You're missing your starting point guard in these NBA playoffs. That's going to affect you, especially in the Western Conference. And then, also with Howard, wasn't sure how well he was going to play, but he definitely surprised me because he played better than he has in a long time. It seems like his career completely fell off when he left Orlando, but he looks like the Dwight Howard that won Defensive Player of the Year, the guy that led the Magic to the finals. Dwight looks like he's finally back to what he was before, and that makes the Rockets a really scary team once again. And then you add the fact that Josh Smith, coming off the bench, he's a great X factor for the team. And a lot of the things I said when I picked the Mavs to win there were a lot of ifs. Like, if they're healthy, which they weren't, and also if they can get their shit together, which they didn't. I was really just banking on the fact that, like I said, they have a lot of veterans who have been there, done that. 3 players in their starting lineup have a ring. And so, I was just figuring that might be the deciding factor in two teams that looked, relatively evenly matched. Relatively. But anyways, Rockets win this series. They move on to round 2, where they await the winner of the Rockets and Clippers series, which is currently tied as of recording this.